Hey guys, tonight we dive deep into the fascinating origins of one of the most iconic figures in mythology, Hercules. Picture a serene landscape where a divine child lies cradled in a soft, woven blanket, surrounded by flowers under the watchful gaze of the gods. You might think, wow, that sounds cozy. But let's be real, you probably won't survive a day in his sandals. I mean, we're talking about a guy who battled monstrous beasts before breakfast and performed impossible tasks without so much as a snack break, so, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, while you're at it, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'd love to know where you're drifting off to mythological dreamland from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. We start with the intricate web of relationships in the divine family, particularly focusing on Zeus, the king of the gods. Zeus wasn't just known for wielding thunderbolts, he was notoriously renowned for his many affairs and escapades. Historians still argue whether his numerous dalliances were a reflection of ancient Greek values or simply served as entertainment in epic tales. Whether divine right or sheer charm, Zeus's amorous adventures paved the way for Hercules' very existence. In one of his famous encounters, Zeus transformed into a swan to seduce Leda, the queen of Sparta. While it sounds dreamy, it's a little strange, right? Imagine explaining that at the family reunion. Oh, Zeus. Sure, he's my dad. You should see what he turns into on weekends. Now, let's shift gears to the mortal side of Hercules' origins. The woman who gave birth to him, Alcmene, was a mortal princess. When Zeus visited her in disguise, this time as her husband, Amphitryon, she bore Hercules, a demigod with immense strength, destined for greatness. However, little did Alcmene know, this divine child came with a hefty price tag attached, one that included the wrath of Zeus's wife, Hera. Hera arguably had one of the toughest jobs in mythology, being married to a philanderer and managing a realm filled with drama. Her jealousy toward Hercules was manifested in various ways from the moment he was born. Historians still debate whether Hera's vengeance on Hercules was purely personal or if it was a symbol of the struggles faced by mortals living under the whims of the gods. Imagine coming into the world as a superhuman and your first encounter being a curse from your stepmother. That's true motivation to lift weights. Hera sent 2 snakes to strangle baby Hercules in his crib, but guess what? The little dude was so strong, he simply reached out and crushed them with his tiny hands. This little anecdote showcases not only his incredible strength but also sets the tone for the endless challenges he would face throughout his life. As you settle into your pillows, think about this: the childhood of Hercules, filled with whispers of threat and the looming shadow of Hera, pushed him into a world where strength was his currency. While today we may think of strength as exclusively physical, in ancient mythology, it was just as much about resilience in the face of obstacles, both divine and mortal. Stay tuned, for in our next section, we unravel more about Hercules' extraordinary childhood and the adventures that shaped the legend of this gentle giant. As we proceed, let your thoughts wander to imagined encounters with gods and strange beasts, maybe even dream up your own legendary tales while wrapping yourself in the vibrant tapestry of ancient Greek myth. Fast forward a few years, and picture young Hercules engaging in all kinds of boyish adventures, ranging from playful wrestling matches with friends to playful tussles with wild animals. There's a quirky tale about how one day he encountered a lion cub that had strayed too far from its mother. Instead of attacking it, Hercules picked it up and cradled it, showcasing a blend of gentleness and strength. Unfortunately for that cub, it never stood a chance against Hercules' affection or, more importantly, his strength. Historians are still debating how these early experiences with animals influenced his legendary status as a hero. Was he destined to be a protector of nature, or was it just childhood whimsy? Regardless, some scholars suggest that these compassionate moments were a pivotal foundation for his character, demonstrating that a hero's nature is often as multifaceted as the myths themselves. Let's pivot a bit to another pivotal moment in Hercules' youth. He eventually entered the tutelage of Chiron, a centaur renowned for his wisdom and knowledge of the arts of healing and warfare. Now, picture this unique training environment. Here you have a legendary hero learning not just how to fight with a sword but also to mend wounds and understand strategy. Chiron's dual teachings gave Hercules a balance of muscle and mindfulness, and this warrior-turned-gentleman became a robust blend of brawn and brain. But training under Chiron didn't come without its comedic moments. Imagine the sight, a half-man, half-horse trying to give lessons on balance and elegance to a fully human boy as Hercules awkwardly stumbles through the motions. Rumor has it there was at least one occasion where Hercules ended up rolling down a hill, prompting laughter from the other centaurs. This humorous juxtaposition may just be one reason why Hercules resonates with us. It reminds us that even heroes face their share of silly failures. Still, as nurturing as Chiron was, he could not shelter Hercules from the tumult that was about to come. The whispers of destiny became louder as his connection to the gods drew him into inevitable conflict. By now, you can almost sense the gears of fate turning, setting Hercules on a path toward legendary trials and confrontations that would soon define him. So, as we prepare to move forward, reflect on the dual nature of Hercules, this gentle giant with a heart as formidable as his strength. His early years were marked by a search for balance in a world where expectations were as heavy as the lion's skin he would eventually wear as a trophy. The journey of Hercules is just getting started, and believe me, it's going to be a wild ride filled with both laughter and lessons. Stay tuned as we unfold the fabled 12 labors, where Hercules will confront not just beasts but also the fears and feelings within him that shape what it truly means to be a hero. Now that we've dipped our toes into Hercules' childhood, let's dive into the dramatic events that led to his transformation from a curious child into the hero we know and love. Hercules, despite his remarkable strength and fondness for cuddling baby lions, faced an unexpected turning point in his life, the tragic circumstances that would give birth to the series of grueling tasks famously known as the 12 labors. Picture this: one fateful day, driven by a mix of divine jealousy and mortal panic, Hera unleashed a wave of madness upon Hercules. Perhaps it was her way of exerting revenge for his divine origins, or maybe she just wanted to keep things interesting in the realm of the gods. Historians still debate whether Hera's actions were purely malicious or if they were a twisted form of divine intervention meant to prepare Hercules for greater challenges. Whatever the reason, this mental turmoil led Hercules into a dark spiral that would culminate in a tragic event. In a fit of rage, Hercules, feeling more like a puppet deprived of strings than the master of his own destiny, unleashed his strength without any understanding of what he was doing in the haze of jealousy. This unfortunate episode resulted in him accidentally killing his wife, Megara, and their children. You could argue that this was a turning point not just in the life of Hercules, but also in the stories told about him. This moment shattered any semblance of a normal life he might have enjoyed and would haunt him in ways that inspired both fear and admiration among those who heard his story. What do you do after committing such a horrific act? Hercules, filled with guilt and remorse, sought guidance from the Oracle of Delphi. Imagine trekking through rugged terrain, the whispers of the wind carrying the weight of his sorrow. The oracle was a wise, old figure, revered among mortals and gods alike. When he finally reached her, she informed him that to atone for his sins, he must undertake 12 labors. Picture this: one fateful day, driven by a mix of divine jealousy and mortal panic, Hera unleashed a wave of madness upon Hercules. Perhaps it was her way of exerting revenge for his divine origins, or maybe she just wanted to keep things interesting in the realm of the gods. Historians still debate whether Hera's actions were purely malicious or if they were a twisted form of divine intervention meant to prepare Hercules for greater challenges. Whatever the reason, this mental turmoil led Hercules into a dark spiral that would culminate in a tragic event. In a fit of rage, Hercules, feeling more like a puppet deprived of strings than the master of his own destiny, unleashed his strength without any understanding of what he was doing in the haze of jealousy. This unfortunate episode resulted in him accidentally killing his wife, Megara, and their children. You could argue that this was a turning point not just in the life of Hercules, but also in the stories told about him. This moment shattered any semblance of a normal life he might have enjoyed and would haunt him in ways that inspired both fear and admiration among those who heard his story. What do you do after committing such a horrific act? Hercules, filled with guilt and remorse, sought guidance from the Oracle of Delphi. Imagine trekking through rugged terrain, the whispers of the wind carrying the weight of his sorrow. The oracle was a wise, old figure, revered among mortals and gods alike. When he finally reached her, she informed him that to atone for his sins, he must undertake 12 labors. Now, hold on a second, 12 labors. It sounds like the gods had a twisted sense of humor. But perhaps there was a method to this madness. Historians still argue whether Hera intended to humiliate Hercules by assigning him to these seemingly impossible tasks or whether they were meant to become a path toward redemption. The labors were daunting, ranging from slaying ferocious beasts to capturing divine creatures. Does it sound a bit like an ancient episode of Survivor? You can almost imagine Hercules using his strength and charm to win challenges, all while rolling his eyes at the absurdity of it all. In his first labor, he was tasked to defeat the Nemean lion, a creature so fearsome that no weapon could pierce its impenetrable hide. You can picture Hercules sneaking through the brush, hoping to ambush this unparalleled beast. When he finally faced the lion, it must have been a sight to behold. Just imagine him, muscles rippling under the sun, attempting to outsmart and outmaneuver a creature that roamed the earth with the confidence of someone who has never lost a game of tag. As you watch this fierce battle unfold in your mind, try to suppress a laugh. Hercules ended up strangling the lion with his bare hands. Talk about a flex, but being Hercules, he didn't just settle for the kill and call it a day. He artfully took the lion's skin and made it his signature garment, proving that he was not just about brute strength but also about style. You can almost hear the whispers of the townsfolk, "Look at that guy in the lion's skin, must be a new fashion trend." Yet, it wasn't all battles and victories for Hercules. Each labor had its own unique challenges, reflecting his journey toward self-discovery. The second labor asked him to slay the 9-headed Hydra. Each time Hercules cut off one head, 2 more would grow back. Talk about a bad haircut. With this labor, he learned an important lesson: sometimes, brute strength isn't enough, and a little strategy goes a long way. Teaming up with his nephew Iolaus, they devised a clever plan. Instead of going solo, they would firebrand the neck stumps after lopping off each head to prevent them from regenerating. This teamwork highlighted yet another aspect of Hercules' character. While he was incredibly strong, he didn't shy away from asking for help. How refreshing is that in a world where heroes are often depicted as lone wolves? He learned that collaboration and relying on friends could turn the tide even in dire situations. As the labors stacked up, so did the complexities of his character. He became more than just a brute, he evolved into a symbol of resilience, vulnerability, and the delicate balance between strength and intellect. Each challenge was not only a test of physical prowess but also one that forced him to confront his inner demons, reminding us all that sometimes the greatest battles we face are within ourselves. As we near the end of Herculean labors and adventures in the next sections, let's keep in mind that every legendary tale has its deeper meanings. It's fascinating to see how those seemingly impossible tasks were not only feats of strength but journeys toward self-acceptance and understanding. So, buckle in for what's next, as Hercules continues crossing paths with not just monsters but also lessons that resonate with our own life stories. As Hercules continued to tackle the 12 labors, his adventures became not just physical feats but transformative experiences laden with deeper significance. With each challenge, he learned more about himself and what it truly meant to embody heroism. Imagine him striding into battle with a lion's skin draped over his shoulders, a blend of brawn and wisdom shining in his eyes. Following the Hydra, Hercules was tasked with his third labor, capturing the Ceryneian hind. This magnificent creature was no ordinary deer, it had golden antlers and was sacred to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Picture this: Hercules, our gentle giant, is required not just to overpower it but to pursue it without harming it. This was less about brute strength and more about patience and skill, less an Olympic sprint and more a gentle jog through the woods. Historians still debate how this task reflects the ancient Greek values surrounding respect for nature and the divine. Was capturing the hind a lesson in humility? After all, Hercules pursued it for a whole year. One can visualize him tiptoeing quietly through lush, verdant forests, sweat trickling down his brow as he desperately tried not to scare this enchanting creature away. Can you imagine the jealousy from the other hunters? There goes Hercules again, chasing after that deer. Maybe try a steak next time. But when he finally cornered the hind, instead of breaking a sweat trying to catch it, he decided to divert his energy in a different direction. He gently stunned it, proving that a hero doesn't always have to resort to violence to achieve his goals. Capturing the hind showcased Hercules' ability to adapt and learn, showcasing his developing character into someone who understood that strength could be gentler than sheer force. With the hind in tow and a woeful apology to Artemis in mind, Hercules found himself facing a different challenge altogether. His fourth labor required him to capture the Erymanthian boar. This beast was not only fearsome but also known for its legendary temper. Imagine Hercules rocking up to this mountainous terrain, perhaps thinking, "I've wrestled lions and tamed wild deer, how hard can this be?" Spoiler alert, it was quite hard. In what can only be described as a Herculean game of tag, Hercules chased the boar through the snow-covered hills, displaying a mixture of agility and strength that made for quite an amusing scene. He eventually trapped the boar in a snowdrift, but the encounter taught him not just about the thrill of the hunt but also about the dignity of every creature he faced. Unlike those younger, brash hunters, Hercules didn't relish in simply overpowering his adversaries, he respected them. The fifth labor was simultaneously his most peculiar and educational, cleaning the Augean stables. You might wonder, wait, what? Cleaning stables? That's not a heroic lab, not exactly a box office blockbuster. But this task was a clever commentary on the significance of hard work and ingenuity. With the stables filled with the waste of 1,000 cows, Herculean strength wouldn't suffice. Instead, he devised a plan that showcased his cunning intellect. Imagine Hercules standing with a shovel in one hand, contemplating the huge mess in front of him. He evaluated a way to channel 2 rivers through the stables, effectively washing away the extensive buildup of filth. This labor illustrated that sometimes, being a hero means getting your hands, well, let's just say very dirty. It's a reminder that heroism often requires rolling up your sleeves, looking at a problem from different angles, and being innovative. Next up was the sixth labor, and it further embedded Hercules' role as a protector. He was tasked to slay the Stymphalian birds, enormous creatures with metallic beaks that could rain down destruction upon unsuspecting villages. Can you imagine the sight? Villagers fleeing as the sky darkens, filled with angry birds reminiscent of something out of a bizarre horror flick. But Hercules was not one to back down. He took this challenge head-on. To combat these avian terrors, Hercules relied on wit and strategy. Armed with a rattle provided by Athena, he frightened them into the air. As they took flight, he unleashed his arrows with precision. In many ways, this encounter reflected the balancing act that heroes often perform, using not only their strength but also their intellect and resourcefulness. And speaking of Egyptian mythology, you may find traces of these kinds of feathery figures throughout various cultural tales. Stories of birds serving larger symbolic roles are common, serving as messengers, harbingers, or even reflections of the human condition. But Hercules slaughtering birds also signifies how our understanding of heroism could shift from brute force to strategic planning. As each labor unfolded, Hercules not only amassed tales of glory but also accumulated experiences that shaped his understanding of what it meant to inhabit both the mortal and divine worlds. Each trial tested not only his muscles but also the entirety of his being, so as we reflect on these heroic encounters, let's stay mindful of the complexities embedded within the narrative: strength, resilience, ingenuity, and grace in the face of adversity. In the forthcoming sections, we will explore more about the relationships Hercules fostered and relationships he tested, the intertwined fates that deepened his understanding of vulnerability as well as courage, reminding us that heroes are as multifaceted as the stories they inhabit. As Hercules continued through his legendary labors, many of his encounters revolved around themes of companionship, loss, and resilience. In the midst of fighting monsters and capturing elusive creatures, Hercules also formed bonds that would shape his understanding of heroism on a more personal level. Each labor was not just a physical challenge, they shaped the man behind the myth, reflecting the intricate balance between strength and vulnerability. Having survived a series of intense challenges, Hercules moved on to the next labor, capturing the Cretan bull. This majestic beast was not only known for its strength but also for its tumultuous history. It was originally sent by Poseidon and was revered, yet cursed. Imagine Hercules in the vibrant setting of Crete, with sunlight cascading over the landscape, facing a bull that was likely furious over all the attention it didn't ask for. Historians debate the symbolism of this labor, wondering if the bull represented the uncontrollable forces of nature or the tumult of emotions within Hercules himself. Would he face the bull as just another beast to conquer, or would he learn something from this fierce animal? This task was more than mere brawn, it required a blend of courage and finesse. Picture the scene: as Hercules drew near, he realized sheer strength wouldn't be enough. He needed to calm the bull first. After a long and tense standoff, he managed to subdue the bull, using not only his strength but also his earnest effort to connect with the creature. The images of Hercules wrestling the bull conjure thoughts of him as a protector rather than just a conqueror. By capturing the bull and bringing it back to Eurystheus in Mycenae, he again displayed the complexity of heroism, recognizing that sometimes, powerful beasts need understanding as much as battle. Now, as we progress, we reach the seventh labor, a challenge that showcased the nuances of his relationships and the inherent struggles that come with them: the capture of the mares of Diomedes. These weren't just any horses, they were man-eating beasts that feasted on human flesh. Here's where the humor of his trials takes a dark turn. Imagine Hercules gearing up for an afternoon not just of capture but of having to play the role of a rescue hero. Epic, right? Before he embarked on this chilling venture, Hercules gathered a small band of friends to assist him, showcasing his growth in trusting those around him. Teamwork became paramount as he enlisted the help of Abderus, who would ultimately play a pivotal yet tragic role in the tale. Together, they infiltrated the grounds of King Diomedes, caught in an epic confrontation that was as tense as it was chaotic. Without giving too much away just yet, imagine the unfolding drama. Hercules finally manages to subdue the horses after a fierce battle, but not before a heartbreaking twist occurs. Diomedes gets his comeuppance, as Hercules' anger ultimately leads to confrontation with the king himself, leading to an intense reckoning rooted in justice. Reflecting on this tale opens the door to discussions about morality and the blurred lines between heroism and brutality. Then we move to the eighth labor, a quest that really brought home some of the deeper themes in Hercules' story: the capture of the belt of Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. Rich with stories of fierce warrior women, the Amazons were known for their strength and independence. They were symbols of empowerment, yet an encounter with them was fraught with danger. Engaging with these tasks, it becomes increasingly evident that Hercules was engaged in a broader philosophical quest about human identity. Each labor illustrated that while strength is vital, humility and reflection often take precedence. As we peel back the layers of Hercules' journey, it's essential to recognize not just the surface actions but the deeper emotional currents driving these legendary tales. Join me in continuing to explore Hercules' story, where every labor carries not just the weight of his challenges but also the promise of transformation. Hercules approached this labor with a sense of trepidation, understanding the need to navigate these complex dynamics. Unlike previous labors, this time he found himself confronting not just the literal challenge of obtaining a belt but also grappling with the gender dynamics present in this mythical narrative. Historians still debate whether Hercules was a symbol of male dominance or if it could also be interpreted as a story of mutual respect. When he arrived in Amazonia, Hercules was met with both admiration and hostility. The queen initially welcomed him, but misunderstandings quickly led to conflict. In an unexpected twist, instead of simply overpowering Hippolyta, Hercules formed a connection with her. Recognizing her strength and valor, his journey toward gaining the belt became a fascinating commentary on respect among powerful beings. Unfortunately, tension arose that led to miscommunication and ultimately conflict. The resulting battle left both hemispheres in upheaval and marks yet another example of how communication can shift the balance between victory and loss. His ninth labor would reflect dynamics intrinsic to creatures that live in hidden territories, as Hercules faced the fearsome Geryon, a three-bodied giant who guarded cattle in the land of the sunset. Picture Hercules traveling to the western edge of the world, facing not just a giant but also the psychological complexities that accompany such formidable encounters. The labor wasn't just about physical strength but also about overcoming fears, the notion of stepping beyond familiar territory. Upon facing Geryon, Hercules was caught between fighting the giant and acknowledging his own mortality. Historians still puzzle over the implications of this labor. Was facing Geryon a venture into the unexplored regions of the human experience, or a stark confrontation with his own limitations? As Hercules forged ahead through his legendary labors, each task served not only as a trial of strength but also as a window into his evolving character and values. The challenges he faced began to reveal profound lessons about heroism, friendship, and the complexities of fate itself. After conquering Geryon in his 9th labor, our hero prepared to dive into his next formidable task, the capture of the golden apples of the Hesperides. Picture the serene garden, sprawling with lush greenery beneath the sun's golden rays, where these coveted apples hung from trees guarded by a fierce dragon. It's no ordinary fruit, these apples were gifts from Gaia, the earth herself, and were said to grant immortality. Many heroes had attempted to claim them and failed, leaving Hercules to tackle yet another daunting endeavor, both in terms of physical strength and strategic thought. Historians still debate the significance of the apples. Some view them as a representation of temptation, while others see them as a symbol of life's ultimate rewards. Regardless of interpretation, Hercules knew that acquiring them would require more than might, it would demand cunning and perseverance. So, he set off toward the edge of the world once more, ready to meet whatever challenges lay ahead. Upon arriving at the garden, Hercules first sought the advice of the wise Titan Atlas, who was known to bear the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. Just imagine Hercules approaching the Titan, the sky decorated with brilliant stars above them. Atlas, however, was no easy ally. He had his own burdens and was reluctant to help. The encounter was a blend of power dynamics and mortal diplomacy, illustrating that even the strongest heroes often need to rely on others. Hercules offered to take on Atlas's burden for a short while, the sky, so that Atlas could retrieve the golden apples. In that moment, Hercules not only showcased his immense strength but also reaffirmed one of the underlying themes throughout his labor: shared burdens often become lighter. Okay, Atlas likely thought, this is going to be interesting. Hercules' patience as he held up the cosmos contrasted sharply with the earlier displays of brute strength, showing his growth into a hero who knows when to engage might and when to practice restraint. Now, when Atlas returned with the apples, the Titan figured it would be amusing to let Hercules trudge under the weight of the heavens while he hoofed it back to his own realm. But our boy Hercules was wise to the move and quickly devised a clever ruse. Sure, Atlas, that's a nice offer, but could you hold this sky for just a moment while I adjust my armor? He exclaimed, knowing that the moment Atlas took back the burden, Hercules could slip away with his prize. It was a masterstroke that not only highlighted his intelligence but also his preparedness to handle the complexities of both strength and cunning. Once Hercules returned to Eurystheus, this labor marked a defining moment in his journey. He was no longer just a raw product of strength, he was beginning to embody wisdom and resourcefulness. But no journey is without its hurdles, and Hercules was about to encounter a particularly symbolic clash that would test his resolve. His 11th labor involved capturing the fierce and elusive Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the underworld. Imagine Hercules standing at the gates of Hades, the realm of the dead, a place filled with wailing souls and shadows of lost hopes. You have to wonder what must have gone through his mind as he prepared for this encounter. Historians often interpret Cerberus as a representation of the boundary between life and death, a symbolic guard who reflects the balance required to navigate both realms. As he descended into the underworld, Hercules faced more than just a fierce dog. He was up against a landscape that demanded acceptance of his own mortality. You can envisage him wandering in the gloomy halls, encountering lost souls, perhaps even recognizing glimpses of familiar faces. This labor demanded him to confront his fears and acceptance of death, not an easy task for anyone. Even a demigod, Hercules' approach to Cerberus reflected his deeper understanding of heroism. Instead of attacking the beast, he engaged with it gently, showcasing yet another layer of strength, taming rather than destroying. The boldness of embracing empathy over violence can resonate with every listener in a world that often glorifies aggressive responses. The adventure brought with it the reminder that true heroism transcends mere physical power, it encompasses an understanding that courage often lies in compassion and connection. After managing to subdue Cerberus, Hercules emerged from the underworld with a new outlook, wielding not just the trophies of his labor but bringing back an understanding of life's complexities. As we reach the tail end of Hercules' extraordinary labors, these experiences paint a vivid picture of his unprecedented journey from a troubled youth to a heroic figure. He did not just battle monsters, he fiercely battled his internal demons, faced fears with bravery, and embraced the importance of relationship and empathy. As Hercules wrapped up his final labors, a sense of clarity began to emerge from the chaos that had defined his adventures. With the completion of the 11th labor, the capture of Cerberus, he truly started to realize that these confrontations were not just tests of strength but profound lessons in life and self-discovery. The 12th and final labor awaited, and it posed an enormous question: how to serve as a bridge between the mortal and divine realms. Now, prepare yourself, because this last labor is a blend of the dramatic and the deeply personal. For his 12th task, Hercules was required to retrieve the belt of Hippolyta once more, though now it was a quest that would embody the themes of love, sacrifice, and the bonds of friendship. But here's the twist: Hippolyta had entrusted him with her belt as a symbol of respect, understanding that a true hero aligns with those who share the same values rather than one who seeks conquest. But that's not the end of the story. The moment Hercules set out to retrieve the belt, whispers of deception began swirling in the background. Historians still debate whether this was Hera's doing or merely a misunderstanding that grew out of fear and jealousy among the Amazons. In any case, as news circulated that Hercules was on his way, it ignited a wave of mistrust and trepidation among them. Imagine the fears of the Amazons: oh no, another Greek seeking glory and power at our expense. The moment Hercules arrived, he found himself not only face to face with Hippolyta but also with a battalion of strong, determined warrior women who misunderstood his intentions. Instead of embracing him as a friend, they prepared for battle, fueled by the belief that he aimed to conquer rather than collaborate. As Hercules wrapped up his final labors, a sense of clarity began to emerge from the chaos that had defined his adventures. With the completion of the 11th labor, the capture of Cerberus, he truly started to realize that these confrontations were not just tests of strength but profound lessons in life and self-discovery. The 12th and final labor awaited, and it posed an enormous question: how to serve as a bridge between the mortal and divine realms. Now, prepare yourself, because this last labor is a blend of the dramatic and the deeply personal. For his 12th task, Hercules was required to retrieve the belt of Hippolyta once more, though now it was a quest that would embody the themes of love, sacrifice, and the bonds of friendship. But here's the twist: Hippolyta had entrusted him with her belt as a symbol of respect, understanding that a true hero aligns with those who share the same values rather than one who seeks conquest. But that's not the end of the story. The moment Hercules set out to retrieve the belt, whispers of deception began swirling in the background. Historians still debate whether this was Hera's doing or merely a misunderstanding that grew out of fear and jealousy among the Amazons. In any case, as news circulated that Hercules was on his way, it ignited a wave of mistrust and trepidation among them. Imagine the fears of the Amazons: oh no, another Greek seeking glory and power at our expense. The moment Hercules arrived, he found himself not only face to face with Hippolyta but also with a battalion of strong, determined warrior women who misunderstood his intentions. Instead of embracing him as a friend, they prepared for battle, fueled by the belief that he aimed to conquer rather than collaborate. What followed was a remarkable twist in the narrative. Hercules turned his attention not towards battle but towards dialogue. He took a deep breath, gathered his voice, and stressed the importance of unity. "I seek friendship, not conflict," he'd exclaimed, drawing on his rich experiences with the gods, monsters, and friendships alike. While the battle raged around him, he focused on reaching Hippolyta, expressing respect for her people and their way of life. Picture him standing up in the midst of clashing swords, not in anger but in grace, demonstrating the delicate balance a hero must strike, defending what is right but doing so from a place of understanding and connection. In the chaos of battle, a moment of truth struck. Historians often discuss how this was pivotal in redefining Hercules' role as a hero. He didn't need to demonstrate strength by slaying his foes, but rather by conquering misunderstandings and mistrust in unprecedented ways. Through earnest words, he slowly began to win over the hearts of the warriors, weaving friendships rather than a legacy of conquest. Ultimately, the battle transformed into an agreement, and Hippolyta graciously gifted him the belt. It marked a significant change in Hercules' story. He hadn't just secured a victory, he had fostered alliances. The exchange of the belt became a powerful symbol of mutual respect, turning an expected labor centered on strength into one colored with communication, compassion, and camaraderie. Now, stepping back from his labors, Hercules returned to Eurystheus, an embodiment of much more than just a hero of the physical realm. He was wrapped in the experiences and relationships that shaped him, and at long last, he understood that true heroism exists on a spectrum. It is influenced by what lies in the heart as much as the strength in one's arms. But as you lean back and think about Hercules' tale, consider his reconciliation with his past, the relationships he fostered, and the wisdom he accrued. It's often easy to forget that behind the masks of demigods and monsters lie complexities universally familiar, stories of seeking acceptance, love, and understanding. As we draw closer to the final segments of Hercules' life, let's pause to reflect on how every hero we encounter carries within them a narrative that intertwines vulnerability with valor. Stay tuned as we explore how Hercules continued to navigate these myths and the legacies they forged, reminding us all that the most lasting impacts often come from the softest of touches rather than the hardest of blows. With the 12th labor concluded, Hercules returned to Eurystheus, yet his journey was far from over. The completion of his labors marked a significant transition not only in his narrative but in his evolution as a character. He had acted valiantly, confronting fearsome beasts and daunting challenges, but he also grasped that sheer strength was not the only way to enact change. Empathy, understanding, and courage were also crucial elements of heroism. As Hercules stood before Eurystheus, the king looked upon him with a mixture of awe and suspicion. After all, this wasn't just a man who had succeeded against insurmountable odds, this was a demigod who seized victory not with only weapons but with wisdom. Eurystheus, wary of Hercules' newfound perspective and keen to maintain his authority, attempted to belittle Hercules' achievements. Historians still debate whether Eurystheus' jealousy stemmed from fear of Hercules' rising popularity or genuine concern for maintaining power among the gods and men. You can picture the tension brimming in the air. "Congratulations, Hercules," Eurystheus said with a forced grin, his eyes betraying the begrudging respect he'd developed for the hero. "You've completed your tasks. But let's see if you can remain humble when faced with the pitfalls of fame." Recognizing that his past encounters had changed him, Hercules enjoyed his newfound recognition and accolades but also understood that they came with diversions and temptations. This moment in his life marks a pivotal turning point, transitioning him from a laborer of the gods to a figure whose very essence would inspire and influence generations to come. However, it wasn't all grand banquets and celebratory songs. Hercules learned that fame often brings its own trials, and temptations to stray from the path of virtue. From this moment on, he made an important decision. He chose to use his strength and experiences to protect mortals rather than seeking glory for himself. His evolving values began to reflect a deeper understanding of what it means to be a hero, leading him to act not just for himself but also for the benefit of those around him. As Hercules began to navigate the complexities of heroism, one of the most significant influences in his continued journey came from relationships he fostered, especially friendships among fellow heroes. You may be surprised to find out that Hercules was often found in the company of notable figures like Jason of the Argonauts and Theseus, sharing tales of conquests and laughing about their misadventures. These bonding moments often found Hercules around the hearth, swapping legends while admiring the warm glow of fire. They would share stories about the struggles they faced, each tale acting as a reminder of their own vulnerabilities and triumphs. It is said that in these moments, Hercules learned to relish the simple joy of life, a softness absent in his earlier experiences of madness and rage, but even in these joyful gatherings, darkness sometimes lurked just outside the light. A familiar foe, Hera, continued her machinations and ensnared Hercules into a realm of madness once again. Historians highlight several legends where she sends challenges that test not just Hercules' strength but his very resolve. In one particularly poignant myth, Hera fueled insecurity between Hercules and his beloved companion, Prince Iolaus. This relationship held profound significance. Iolaus was one of his closest friends, a tie to his more innocent past, and a steady anchor as Hercules began to navigate the treacherous waters of fame and godly affairs. Like in many tragic myths, misunderstanding soon turned into chaos, as Hercules, consumed by Hera's influence, mistakenly believed that Iolaus betrayed him during a heroic endeavor. The palpable tension that erupted in this misunderstanding became a tragedy that shook their friendship to the core, reminding us how quickly trust could dissolve under the weight of external influence. Ultimately, Hercules faced an internal battle every bit as daunting as his physical trials: how to reconcile between the hero he wanted to be and the boy who craved acceptance. Hercules' conflict led him to confront the very nature of friendship. When he realized the truth, that Iolaus had been loyal through and through, he faced the sorrow of having acted rashly. The aftermath taught him a crucial lesson about vulnerability. True strength lies not just in defeating mythical monsters but also in confronting the real-life messiness of human relationships. As he sought to mend their bond, Hercules demonstrated that the journey toward redemption could be as significant as overcoming daunting tasks. After much heart-searching, he approached Iolaus with sincerity and remorse and ultimately restored their camaraderie. Through this journey with Iolaus and the subsequent challenges presented by Hera, Hercules began to embody an essential quality of a true hero: self-awareness. He understood that even heroes falter, but what mattered most was the courage to seek forgiveness and grow from mistakes. The lessons of friendship, forgiveness, and introspection truly transformed Hercules from a mere conqueror of beasts into a complex and relatable character. As we turn the page to explore Hercules' life as it unfolds further, let's remember that his journey represents something universal. Every hero, even the strongest among us, faces trials both physical and emotional, and the road is often fraught with challenges that test not just their strength, but their very humanity. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into Hercules' continuing saga, where redemption, transformation, and the nuances of heroism unfold in ways that echo across time and resonate within us all. As the trials continued to shape Hercules, the struggles of friendship and the quest for redemption became pivotal themes in his life. After reconciling with Iolaus, Hercules found himself navigating a newfound maturity, the kind that not only involved defeating foes but also understanding the very essence of humanity. With each day, he became more than just a mythic warrior. He transformed into a figure representative of the complex tapestry of human experiences, embodying the struggles, relationships, and emotions resonant within us all. Yet, the shadow of Hera loomed large, reminding us that trials often come from unexpected places. Fueled by jealousy and resentment toward Hercules' growing popularity among mortals, she sought ways to undermine his reputation and challenge his character. This time, she orchestrated a series of conflicts that would entwine Hercules again into deeper struggles, both for his own standing among gods and men. One day, he received an invitation from his half-brother, Ares, the god of war, who proposed a competition among the gods, a contest of strength and skill among the demigods. At first, the idea sounded fun to Hercules, a chance to showcase how far he had come. But as he approached the arena, the playful nature quickly transformed into a battleground filled with jealousy and rivalry, setting the stage for Hera's latest scheme. The contest showcased fellow heroes such as Perseus and Theseus, as well as an array of mythic challenges representing both the past and future. Imagine a grand arena filled with onlookers, gods, mortals, and creatures from the far reaches of mythology. As the trumpets sounded, Hercules took center stage. Bursting with confidence, the crowd erupted in cheers, blending excitement and anticipation. As competitors faced off, the atmosphere charged with energy, and Hercules began to miss the companionship and joy he'd shared with Iolaus during their adventures. While he had friends all around him, he felt an unfamiliar pressure creeping in, Hera subtly whispering doubts that his victories would mean little without the approval of the gods. It became apparent that Hera had managed to conjure illusions within Hercules' mind, akin to mischievous spirits sowing seeds of doubt and insecurity. Each challenge he faced in the contest transformed from a test of skill into an unsolicited introspective journey that forced him to confront his insecurities. Was he truly strong enough? Did he need validation from the gods to prove his worth? Or could he simply be enough as he was? As the events transpired, Hercules found himself steadily moving through the various challenges, the crowd's cheers blending into a haunting echo in his mind. He initially bested the challenges with physical prowess, yet the repeated victories felt hollow. No matter how much strength he summoned, a deeper recognition began to dawn on him. True strength lay not only in his arms but in the relationships he fostered and the humility he began to embrace. After a few rounds, an unexpected twist occurred. Instead of facing a challenger, Hercules encountered a familiar face from his past, the ghost of his lost children, with images of their playful smiles and innocent laughter swirling around him. The mere sight broke his heart and sparked a powerful emotional reaction, compelling him to grapple with the weight of his past mistakes, painting a stark contrast against the roar of the crowd. Join me as we explore Hercules' continued journey through love, loss, and the quest for purpose, a legacy that remains perpetually relevant, celebrating the transformative power that resides within us all. With a newfound clarity guiding him, Hercules began to embrace a life filled with intention, reshaping the story that had once been steeped in conflict and heroics into one that celebrated connection, empathy, and the warmth of human relationships. Emerging triumphantly from the competition, he shifted focus from external accolades to nurturing the bonds to those dear to him. Yet, destiny has a way of intertwining the threads of fate, and Hercules was soon to experience profound joys and heartbreaking sorrows. In the days that followed, Hercules rekindled his friendship with Iolaus, and together they embarked on adventures that focused not on competition but on healing and growth. Picture the pair traversing sunlit woods, recounting tales of their laborious past while planting seeds of new beginnings. They ventured into lands where mythical creatures roamed, lending a hand to those in need and protecting the vulnerable. In one notable episode, they encountered a village stricken by a wicked beast terrorizing its people. Together, they crafted a brilliant plan, not of overpowering the beast through sheer strength, but one that involved the cunning use of traps and strategy. Who would have thought that a former laborer of monsters would turn into a protector of the innocent? Ultimately, this endeavor became a significant chapter not just in their story but in the broader tapestry of heroism within mythology. However, as life often teaches us, light must coexist with shadow. Amid these vibrant days, Hercules faced a poignant turning point, developing a romantic relationship with Diana, a beautiful and fierce woman. Their love blossomed quickly, marked by the enchanting connection they shared. Hercules, filled with admiration for her strength and wisdom, felt a sense of peace and belonging that went beyond any arena or labor he had ever faced. Yet, just as Hercules opened his heart, the past cast a long shadow over their bright future. As happy as he was, the emotional turmoil from his earlier conflicts weighed heavily on him, reminding him that love can be as daunting as any monster. He had come to realize that embracing love would mean exposing himself to vulnerability once more, a prospect that ignited long-buried fears and insecurities. In an attempt to solidify their bond, Diana sought a way to ensure Hercules would never stray, searching for a gift, one that would symbolize their unwavering commitment. History tells of a distinct but dangerous item she acquired, a love potion meant to ensure fidelity, a product of the centaur Nessus. Unbeknownst to her, this potion would set into motion a series of tragic events. In a twist of fate, while returning from a journey, Hercules and Diana found themselves at a river crossing. As they navigated the swift waters, the mischievous centaur Nessus attempted to abduct Diana. Fueled by a fierce protectiveness, Hercules intervened, slaying Nessus with arrows before he could take her away. However, as he lay dying, Nessus plotted his revenge. With his last breaths, he unexpectedly revealed the danger of the love potion he had given to Diana, informing her that the blood on the arrows was filled with dark magic, magic that would compel Hercules to love her eternally. But with grave consequences. This reality set the stage for tragedy, intertwining themes of love, loyalty, and the unforeseen consequences that often lurk beneath the surface of seemingly simple decisions. Not long after, Diana, fearing that Hercules might one day forsake her, succumbed to the manipulation of Nessus' dying words. She unwittingly doused a garment in the potion derived from the centaur's blood and presented it to Hercules. Picture the moment when Hercules donned the cloak, unknowingly wrapping himself in a coat of fate that would spell disaster. In a stunning turn of events, as Hercules returned from yet another victorious campaign, he began to experience agony beyond physical comprehension. The potion, instead of nurturing their love, unleashed searing pain throughout his body. It appeared that the powerful demigod who had once battled gods and monsters would be undone by the very elements of love and loyalty meant to protect him. Historians reflect on this moment with intrigue, pondering how a strongman so accustomed to confrontations with beasts could falter against the deeply intertwined emotions of love and trust. As Hercules sat in torment, trapped by a cruel twist of fate, it became evident that his vulnerabilities ran deeper than anyone had imagined. In his pain, Hercules learned the profound truth that love is not merely a trophy won, but a dance of vulnerability requiring care, trust, and understanding. Watch as he confronted his emotional labyrinth, grappling with the pain that stemmed from his past, and the responsibilities his relationships carried. He could pound a lion into submission, but navigating the subtleties of human emotions was the real test of his strength. Amidst this turmoil, Hercules ultimately faced a choice: would he allow the darkness of his situation to pull him under, or could he channel his pain into understanding and healing? In that moment of desperation, he forged the resolve to confront the true tragedy of human experience, that love could be as bittersweet as it was beautiful. As we delve further into Hercules' journey, we begin to uncover how the complexities of love, losses, and regrets sharpen our understanding of what it means to be human in a realm of divinity. His story evolves from one of simple strength to a tapestry of emotional confrontation, as he learns to temper his power with a tender heart. Prepare for an emotional continuation of Hercules' story, as he navigates love, loss, and the very essence of what it means to be the hero of one's own story. As Hercules grappled with the torment unleashed by the cursed garment, the truth of his situation loomed over him. He wasn't merely a demigod with unmatched strength, he was now a man confronting the complexities of human emotion. The poison of Nessus' blood spread through his veins like wildfire, pushing him to the brink of despair. Each moment was a harsh reminder that even the strongest among us can be vulnerable. Imagine Hercules, once revered as an indomitable hero, now hunched over in agony, wrestling not just with physical pain but a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Confusion washed over him. How had this fallen into his life? As the powerful geysers of pain erupted within him, visions of laughter, love, and camaraderie converged with nightmares of loss and betrayal. Historians often argue whether this moment depicted an integral shift not just in Hercules' narrative, but in the archetype of the hero itself, a powerful reminder that heroism is fraught with fragility. His journey suggests a profound insight: the greatest battles often occur in the heart and soul, rather than on the battlefield. In this state of tortured reflection, Hercules forged a path toward healing, not just of the body, but of the spirit. Feeling entirely aware of his pain, he began to glean insights that only suffering could bring. Within the depths of his torment, he realized that strength also lies in vulnerability, accepting help and admitting one's limits. Gone were the days when he would solve every problem with a blow of his fist. Now, it was about comforting others, and himself, in the wake of strife. Desperate to save his own life, Hercules sought wisdom from the wise centaur Chiron, the same mentor who had once guided him in his youth. This wasn't just a plea for physical aid, but an acknowledgement that even heroes need their mentors at pivotal moments. Chiron, embodying patience and understanding, took Hercules aside in a tranquil glen, surrounded by vibrant flowers and fluttering butterflies, a stark contrast to the turmoil within. Life is not just about battles and victories, Chiron counseled gently, his voice resonating with ancient wisdom. It is also about the connections we form and the love we nurture, even in the face of adversity. Hercules listened with rapt attention as Chiron reminded him of the many friendships and relationships that had shaped his journey. It was a moment of profound clarity as Hercules found solace in the reminder that each connection he had built held the power to weather even the fiercest of storms. This realization sparked an internal shift. Hercules understood that his pain didn't have to define him. Instead of retreating into despair, he'd channel that pain, allowing it to weave into the courage and resilience that formed the pillars of his identity. Just as he had faced monsters in the past, he would now face the darker aspects of his heart with the same fiery tenacity. Returning to Deianira, he approached her not with anger, but with an openness forged through vulnerability. "I am suffering, but I wish to share this burden with you, not as a victim. but as a partner. I believe we can overcome this together." His words, while heavy with emotion, carried a tone of hope and healing. Diana gazed upon him, horror etched upon her face as she began to comprehend the gravity of the situation. The realization that her love could inadvertently bring pain haunted her. Realizing that she had been manipulated by the fate of the cursed potion weighed heavily on Diana's heart. Together, they navigated their tumultuous feelings, Hercules acknowledging his struggles, and Diana reaching out to support him in whatever way she could. Their growth from this ordeal transcended the surface of romance, elevating their bond to something deeper, an alliance forged from empathy and mutual understanding. In a twist of fate orchestrated by the gods, the love that had nearly destroyed them became the very catalyst for healing. Hercules began to embrace the notion that love is never without risk, but it was precisely those risks that often yielded the most beautiful rewards. Their journey now symbolized an essential truth that transcended mythology. Growth often comes from navigating through pain with those we cherish, yet, as healing took hold, the echoes of the past remained a reminder of how the shadows of jealousy and manipulation contained even the most steadfast relationships. It would take time, patience, and courage to fully reclaim the innocence once lost, and Hercules was determined to follow this path. As Hercules continued to heal, he sought out the community he had once protected. He frequently visited the villagers he had aided earlier and found joy in reconnecting with those he had once helped. Their appreciation and gratitude brought him solace, lifting his spirits as he saw the genuine love they shared with one another. These visits were not mere acts of charity, they reinforced the roots of what made him a hero in the first place, not just fighting monsters but nurturing the fabric of community and love. In the laughter of children and the warm embrace of grateful villagers, Hercules rediscovered a sense of purpose far greater than accolades or laborious tasks. It was the everyday connections that mattered most. These visits were not mere acts of charity, they reinforced the roots of what made him a hero in the first place, not just fighting monsters but nurturing the fabric of community and love. In the laughter of children and the warm embrace of grateful villagers, Hercules rediscovered a sense of purpose far greater than accolades or laborious tasks. It was the everyday connections that mattered most. In this transformation, Hercules became synonymous with the journey toward healing, a notion echoed throughout time and cultures. His story began to illuminate the importance of compassion and vulnerability, affirming that the true heart of heroism often beats quietly beneath the surface. As we delve into the next chapter of Hercules' life, we prepare to witness his evolution and the impact of love on humanity as he reconvenes with familiar faces and continues to forge new relationships that will ultimately define his legacy. Be ready to witness a breathtaking interplay of love, loss, and the profound understanding that heroism can sometimes lie in the strength to endure and grow amidst adversity. As Hercules continued his journey of healing and rediscovery, he learned to embrace the duality of strength and vulnerability. With his bond to Diana deepening, they navigated the complexities of their relationship, fostering an environment where communication, empathy, and love became paramount. It was a new chapter marked by both challenges and triumphs, where the lessons of the past served as a guiding light for their future. However, the echoes of Hercules' past actions still reverberated throughout his life. While he had successfully reconciled with Iolaus and healed the rifts in his romantic relationship, he was acutely aware that unaddressed consequences loomed, threatening to overshadow the newfound happiness he had cultivated. The curse of the blood of Nessus had not only inflicted physical pain but also emotional turmoil, leading to unresolved grievances among those who once stood by his side. In a pivotal moment, Hercules felt compelled to confront those who had been affected by his past mistakes. He traveled back to the villages he had once saved and spoke at town gatherings, sharing the trials he had endured, the madness, the anguish, and the profound lessons learned. His openness about his vulnerabilities resonated deeply with the communities, allowing them to see the complexity of his character. He was no longer just a hero of unfathomable strength but one who was relatable and, more importantly, human. Imagine him standing before the assembly surrounded by villagers, his voice steady yet filled with emotion as he recounted his journey. "I have fought monsters and captured beasts," he began, "but I have also battled my own demons. I want to share with you that strength is not merely the ability to vanquish foes, but also the willingness to face one's own fears and embrace love, even when it requires the utmost vulnerability. As Hercules faced Antaeus, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Engaging in combat with the Titan was unlike any battle Hercules had faced before. It was not merely a clash of muscle but a representation of Hercules' internal struggles. With each strike, he felt narratives of doubt and fear surfacing alongside the strength he had cultivated. Picture the scene: Hercules and Antaeus grappling on the ground, Antaeus utilizing every advantage gifted by the earth beneath him. You could almost feel the weight of their conflicting energies, a portrayal of Hercules' journey against the literal embodiment of challenges he had faced in life. Antaeus' strength surged with each contact with the ground. Hercules felt the pressure escalating as he grappled not just against a Titan but the narratives of the past that had ensnared him. But Hercules had something Antaeus did not: his hard-earned wisdom. Drawing upon his understanding of his vulnerabilities and the support of those he had nurtured relationships with, he devised a clever strategy. Instead of continuing the battle on the ground, where the Titan held the advantage, Hercules lifted Antaeus into the air, momentarily severing his connection with the earth. Historians emphasize this pivotal moment as a powerful metaphor. By recognizing his strength not just in the fight but in his support for others, Hercules showcased that a true hero alters the terrain of challenges by lifting others alongside him. The Titan, realizing his power waned in the air, struggled helplessly until Hercules finally subdued him. Victorious, Hercules stepped back, panting but filled with resolve. This battle wasn't merely about defeating Antaeus, it was about recognizing that overcoming even the mightiest of foes is often linked to confronting one's inner battles. Victory came not through vengeance but. The people listened intently, their eyes reflecting admiration but also empathy. In his act of sharing, Hercules forged connections that transcended his earlier reputation, transforming from a solitary warrior into a wise figure who guided others toward healing. Witnessing their compassion inspired him further to remember that heroes exist not just in legendary tales but are intertwined in the lives of everyday people. Despite the newfound sense of community and understanding, Hera was not finished with Hercules. Her jealousy remained a constant shadow, and she orchestrated yet another plot to pierce through the fragile peace he had constructed. With whispers of discord echoing through the winds, she sought to exploit the unresolved difficulties Hercules faced with his past, aiming to shatter both his relationships and his reputation. In a cruel twist of fate, Hera summoned a powerful warrior who harbored a deep resentment toward Hercules, the infamous Titan, Antaeus, known for gaining strength from contact with the earth. An enormous figure who had challenged countless heroes, Antaeus viewed Hercules as a threat to his legacy. When he heard of the demigod's journey of redemption, he felt compelled to confront Hercules, fueling his own insecurities in a spectacle that would draw the ire of both mortals and gods. The announcement of Antaeus' challenge spread rapidly, sparking anxiety across the realms. Many gathered to witness the clash between the demigod and the Titan, unsure of how this conflict would unfold. Hercules, though wary of the danger, understood this was not just a test of strength but a moment to reaffirm his growth. The challenge loomed as an opportunity to showcase the lessons he had learned, not just about physical prowess, but about love, humility, and the importance of community. Through the very lessons he had woven throughout his journey, love, understanding, and the courage to embrace vulnerability, as Hercules returned to the village, the cheers and praises of those he had once saved echoed in his ears. The memories of past conflicts swirled around him, intermingling with newfound relationships that had been forged through bravery and vulnerability. Each moment reinforced that he was no longer solitary but rather connected to a community that shaped him and for which he would fight fiercely. In the aftermath of victory against Antaeus, Hercules continued to walk a path filled with purpose, revisiting the important relationships he had forged. He and Diana fostered a deeper bond based on understanding rather than fear. While his friendship with Iolea solidified into an unbreakable alliance, a testament to the healing power of loyalty and trust. As he settled into these relationships, Hercules learned that the true measure of a hero lies not just in what one conquers or the battles one wins but in the connections maintained and the love nurtured, even in the face of adversity. In the coming chapters, be ready as Hercules faces new challenges and relationships that test his resolve and shape his essence. As he embraces the accompanying complexities of love and friendship, the hero will continually redefine what it means to embody both strength and vulnerability in this unfolding saga of resilience. Through the very lessons he had woven throughout his journey, love, understanding, and the courage to embrace vulnerability, as Hercules returned to the village, the cheers and praises of those he had once saved echoed in his ears. The memories of past conflicts swirled around him, intermingling with newfound relationships that had been forged through bravery and vulnerability. Each moment reinforced that he was no longer solitary but rather connected to a community that shaped him and for which he would fight fiercely. In the aftermath of victory against Antaeus, Hercules continued to walk a path filled with purpose, revisiting the important relationships he had forged. He and Diana fostered a deeper bond based on understanding rather than fear. While his friendship with Iolaus solidified into an unbreakable alliance, a testament to the healing power of loyalty and trust, as he settled into these relationships, Hercules learned that the true measure of a hero lies not just in what one conquers or the battles one wins but in the connections maintained and the love nurtured, even in the face of adversity. In the coming chapters, be ready as Hercules faces new challenges and relationships that test his resolve and shape his essence. As he embraces the accompanying complexities of love and friendship, the hero will continually redefine what it means to embody both strength and vulnerability in this unfolding saga of resilience. As Hercules settled into his role as a protector and healer, the aftermath of his victory over Antaeus reshaped his identity into something far more nuanced than mere muscle and might. He transformed from a figure of brawn into one of wisdom and emotional depth, embodying the complexities of relationships while still navigating the intricate dance between divinity and humanity. Yet, amid these new beginnings, the legacy of Hercules' exploits continued to cast long shadows. He remained aware that the gods, particularly Hera, still watched keenly, waiting for the perfect moment to test him once again. The trials of the past had instilled within him a cautious optimism, an understanding that the path to redemption is often fraught with unexpected turns. One day, Hercules received word of an impending crisis that rippled across the kingdom, a monstrous beast known as the Gorgon, viciously attacking local villages and spreading fear. The Gorgon was a creature of myth, with snakes for hair and a gaze that turned all who met it to stone. The challenges posed by this foe were not just physical, they involved confronting the deep-rooted fears that still lingered within Hercules, particularly the fear of being overwhelmed by circumstances that could trigger past traumas. Gathering his strength and wisdom, Hercules embarked on the quest to face the Gorgon, hoping to protect the innocent as he had done before. Alongside him were Iolaus and Diana, forming a formidable trio that balanced might, strategy, and love. As they journeyed, each shared their hopes and fears, fortifying one another with the belief that they could confront the darkness together. Picture them traveling through dense forests and treacherous landscapes, where shadows of doubt threatened to creep in. Hercules, with the wisdom of past experiences, reassured his companions, "We are not alone in this fight. We face not just a physical foe but the darkness within ourselves. Together, we hold the power to overcome anything." Their shared determination shone brightly as they approached the Gorgon's lair. With each step, every ounce of courage filled the air, transforming fear into collective strength. When they finally ventured into the heart of the beast's realm, the atmosphere grew tense, the air thick with anticipation. Suddenly, the Gorgon appeared, its eyes glowing menacingly, the snakes writhing in a chaotic frenzy around its head. For a brief moment, panic surged within Hercules, images of past failures and haunting memories threatening to cloud his judgment. But instead of succumbing to fear, he paused, reflecting on all he had learned about vulnerability and partnership. Recognizing the importance of strategy, Hercules signaled to Iolaus and Diana. They would not face this challenge through brute strength alone but would rely on each other to navigate this perilous encounter. Iolaus, skilled with the bow, prepared to strike from a distance, while Diana positioned herself to create distractions, knowing that the Gorgon's attention needed to be divided to create an opening. As the battle began, a dance of courage unfolded. Hercules supported Diana as she expertly maneuvered around the Gorgon, drawing its gaze away, while Iolaus waited for the right moment to strike. The intricate ballet of teamwork became a testament to their growth, showcasing the beauty and strength of collaboration. Just as the Gorgon turned to focus on Diana, Iolaus took his shot. The arrow flew true, piercing a protective layer around the beast's heart, weakening its power. In a stunning climax, Hercules seized the opportunity to confront the creature directly. In that moment of triumph, he remembered his commitment to facing not only foes but also the emotional battles within himself. With determination coursing through him, Hercules engaged the Gorgon, drawing upon the vulnerabilities he had embraced. Rather than relying solely on brute force, he turned the tide with empathy, speaking directly to the creature. "I do not wish to destroy you," he called out, his voice powerful yet gentle. "I wish to understand you. Strength does not lie in fear but in connection." These words, filled with sincerity, shattered the barrier of animosity between them. In a moment of vulnerability, the Gorgon paused, momentarily transfixed by Hercules' deep understanding of suffering. Perhaps it had felt loneliness or isolation itself. Perhaps it craved understanding and connection just as he did. In a brilliant twist of fate, as the battle's energy shifted toward empathy, the Gorgon transformed back into a once great being, revealing a beautiful figure beneath the monstrous facade. This act of compassion reversed the curse placed upon the creature, setting it free from its torment and enabling it to reclaim its true identity. As the three heroes stood there amidst the changed landscape, they realized that unlike the trials faced in previous labors, this victory was not about vanquishing a foe but forging a profound connection and facing personal nightmares together. The power of love and understanding illuminated their path, reinforcing the lessons Hercules had learned throughout his journey. Victorious, Hercules returned to the village not just as a savior but as a transformed individual who had embraced the complexity of heroism entwined with vulnerability and connection. The people celebrated not merely the defeat of a monster but the emergence of a hero who understood that every figure of myth carries the potential for depth and growth. In the ensuing days, Hercules, Diana, and Iolaus became celebrated figures, known throughout the lands not as ruthless conquerors but as compassionate saviors who had embraced love and communal strength. Their story became one of hope and transformation, empowering others to confront their fears and forge connections in the face of adversity. While Hercules would face further trials and tribulations, this chapter cemented the understanding that every encounter, whether with beast or human, holds lessons about love, understanding, and the interconnectedness of all beings. The world of mythology expanded as the three leaned into their triumphs, forging alliances that spanned beyond simple heroics or physical strength. They opened their hearts to the people, sharing stories of vulnerability, resilience, and the profound truth that strength could nurture and heal rather than merely dominate. As Hercules' journey continues, prepare to witness further evolutions of heroism shaped by friendships, unexpected challenges, and the complexities of love, reminders that the most significant growth often arises from facing our inner selves, entwining destiny with the bonds we create along the way. As Hercules, Diana, and Iolaus flourished in their roles as champions of love and understanding, they expanded their efforts beyond combating monsters and rescuing villages. Their focus shifted toward uniting communities, healing rifts of misunderstanding, and weaving bonds that transcended mere survival. Hercules became renowned not just for his physical prowess but for his capacity to nurture relationships and his unwavering dedication to the greater good. In their travels, they came upon the city of Calydon, where a dire situation unfolded. A powerful boar, cursed by the goddess Artemis, was wreaking havoc on the surrounding lands, destroying crops and terrorizing the citizens. The Caledonians had grown increasingly desperate, as their pleas for help had gone unanswered. The news of this calamity reached Hercules and his companions, who were eager to offer their support. Instead of charging into battle with brute force as Hercules once might have done, he opted for a more strategic approach. He understood that the curse placed on the boar was not merely a symptom of the beast's nature but a deeper reflection of the discontent within Calydon. The townspeople had dishonored Artemis by neglecting to offer her the requisite tribute during the harvest festival, igniting her wrath. Hercules recognized this as a pivotal moment. It was more than a battle against a monstrous creature. It was a chance to address the community's failure and mend the rift with the goddess. Gathering the elders of Calydon, Hercules initiated a conversation rooted in compassion and accountability. "Your plight is grave," he began, addressing the assembled citizens. "But the path to redemption lies in acknowledging the wrongs that brought this misfortune upon you. In understanding her anger, you can cultivate the respect that nurtures harmony." The elders listened, grappling with both remorse and resolution. They understood the importance of honoring the gods, realizing that recognizing their mistakes could pave the way for forgiveness and a brighter future. Hercules encouraged them to gather offerings, fruits, flowers, and symbolic treasures, to honor Artemis and seek her favor once more. This act signified a deeper commitment to reconciliation with the divine, showing that true heroism often involves humility. Equipped with knowledge and newfound purpose, Hercules, Iolaus, and Diana led the townspeople in preparing a grand offering. They worked tirelessly, crafting an altar adorned with vibrant floral arrangements and delicious fruits, all while teaching the villagers about respect for the gods and the importance of community. Hercules used this moment to mentor them, emphasizing that strength isn't only found in physical might but also in collaborative efforts to uplift one another. Finally, during the ritual, Hercules offered a heartfelt prayer to Artemis, expressing their shared commitment to honor her. The scene was potent. He stood among the townspeople, reinforcing the bonds of mutual respect and love. Goddess of the hunt, we come before you today not only to seek your grace but to honor the relationship between the divine and our fragile lives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a soft glow over the offerings, a miraculous transformation began to unfold. The atmosphere shifted, and the boar, the source of chaos, had been calmed. Instead of a rampaging beast, it appeared before them, gentle yet still fierce, reconciled with its own nature. It seemed to recognize the genuine effort of the townspeople, reflecting the harmony achieved through Hercules' guidance. Overwhelmed by gratitude, the townspeople embraced Hercules and his companions, thanking them for showing them the path to redemption. The boar, no longer a creature of terror, became a guardian spirit of Calydon, symbolizing the bond formed between the gods and the people. In the days that followed, the city flourished, and the people dedicated themselves to honoring Artemis regularly. With newfound reverence, they celebrated the goddess through annual festivals, fusing the themes of community and divine respect. Hercules glimpsed a potent truth: the act of facing conflicts required not just resolve but also a commitment to understanding the underlying principles connecting mortals and gods. However, peace never remains unchallenged. The bonds forged in Calydon caught the attention of Hera, who remained intent on testing Hercules. While she saw the growth that the hero had achieved, she considered this a direct affront to her authority and influence. As the whispers of discord swirled among the divine realms, Hera devised a new plan, a way to once again unleash chaos while challenging Hercules to confront not only a physical antagonist but the very essence of loyalty among those he loved. One evening, as the trio celebrated their achievements and the prosperity flourishing in Calydon, a sudden darkness shrouded the festivities. Storm clouds gathered ominously, and lightning crackled in the distance. Rather than panic, Hercules felt a growing resolve. He turned to Diana and Iolaus, saying, "Something stirs in the heavens, it appears Hera has not forgotten us." Soon, a mighty voice thundered from the heavens, a messenger from the gods announcing Hera's decree. "Hercules, your glory has risen too high. To test your strength and your heart, I send you new trials. Face the trials of loyalty against foes born of treachery, and let your bonds be tested like never before." As the message settled over the crowd, concern etched itself upon Hercules' features. The trials promised to be treacherous, aimed to unravel the very connections he had strived so hard to build. Yet he felt invigorated by the love and support that had blossomed through his relationships with Diana and Iolaus. With a determined heart, Hercules addressed the gathered crowd. "I shall not cower from this challenge. These trials will not sever the ties I hold dear. Together, we will confront this darkness as one." As the storms began to breathe life into chaos, the stage was set for testing their bonds, emboldening Hercules to push beyond his own limits in a quest to safeguard those he cared about most. The path ahead would demand all he had learned about strength, vulnerability encompassed by love, acceptance, and the acknowledgement of one another's humanity. Prepare for the forthcoming trials as they not only test Hercules' resolve but also deepen the connections between loved ones, reminding us that true heroism often means standing united in the face of adversity, utilizing the bonds we create to overcome even the most formidable challenges. As fearsome storms crowned the skies and the cries of the wind signaled Hera's brewing tempest, Hercules stood steadfast before his assembled companions in Calydon. With Diana and Iolaus at his side, he champions a spirit of unity and resilience, ready to meet the trials head-on. The trio bore a profound understanding of what was at stake. Their bonds, tested and tempered by love, patience, and growth, would now need to withstand the crucibles of loyalty and fidelity. Hera had unleashed a new challenge. The trials of loyalty would unfold over 3 perilous tests, each designed to probe the integrity of their relationships and the nature of their commitments to one another. The stakes were high. For failure could mean not just leaving the bonds fractious but the possibility of isolation from those they cherished the most. As the clouds swirled ominously above, a shimmering portal opened before them, revealing the first trial, the realm of deceit. Hercules, sensing the air thick with treachery, took a deep breath and rallied his companions. "Remember, faith in one another is the key. We must stay true to ourselves and each other," he proclaimed, instilling in them the belief that trust would be their strongest weapon. Entering the realm of deceit, they found themselves set in an eerie landscape that shifted and morphed with illusions. The terrain glimmered with deceitful reflections, twisting reality into forms designed to confuse and mislead. The first challenge materialized as deceptive versions of each companion, with ghostly images that taunted their insecurities and doubts. In that moment of despair, the strength of their trio would be tested. Diana, standing firm against her illusion, recognized that the figure mimicking her was a blend of her fears, the fear of being unworthy of Hercules' love or that her past mistakes could lead to ruin. "You are made of courage and compassion. I know my worth, and I choose to love fiercely, not fear," she declared, her voice cutting through the illusion like sunlight breaking dawn. Iolaus, facing his own shadow, emphasized the power of loyalty and friendship. "We are stronger together than apart. I won't let illusions cloud the truth of our bonds," he affirmed, reaching out to Hercules and Diana, reinforcing their shared strength. The eventful confrontation resulted in a cascade of light washing over the illusionary figures, dissolving the shadows and reaffirming their commitment to one another. They had navigated the first trial together. The power of faith and loyalty in the face of doubt had triumphed over deception. As they emerged victorious, the scenery began to transform, and the atmosphere lightened, shifting once more. The second challenge awaited them in the chamber of temptation. This realm was filled with distractions that tempted them toward paths of betrayal and self-interest, embodying the allure of power, greed, and fame. Before them appeared towering mounds of treasures, shimmering gold, and enticing promises that whispered in their ears, "Wouldn't you be happier if you were rolling in wealth, hailed as a hero by all?" Prodigious feasts and grandeur glittered in stark contrast to their humble but meaningful bonds. Each had to resist the pulls of materialism and ambition while staying steadfast to the promises they had made to one another and the greater good. Hercules, realizing the temptation extended beyond mere riches, recognized the power of the conflicting goals many heroes could succumb to, the need for recognition amid whispers of self-doubt that had frequently followed him. "It's not about what we can gain but what we can share," he stated with conviction. He turned to Diana and Iolaus, declaring, "True heroism lies in our commitment to one another and the responsibility we bear towards the communities we protect. Let us not be blinded by illusions of grandeur but grounded in love and loyalty." Diana, with her fierce spirit, nodded in support. "What we share cannot be measured in gold or titles. The richness of our bonds is worth far more," she asserted, her voice ringing strong. Iolaus added, "We fight not just for ourselves but for everyone around us. Together, we will reject this tempering and reaffirm our loyalty to each other." As the trio joined hands, a wave of light pulsed outward, dispelling the temptations that threatened to divide them. The treasures melted away, tantalizing offers dissolving into vapor, leaving them in the purity of unwavering affection and solidarity. Emerging from the chamber of temptation, they readied themselves for the final trial, the desolation of betrayal. An unforgiving landscape awaited them, where they would face reflections of real betrayal, testing the strength of their relationships in the harshest light imaginable. As they stepped into this realm, a tornado of memories swirled around them, presenting visions of past traumas, moments of mistrust, feelings of abandonment, and doubts that lingered within their souls. Their experiences danced around them, painful and vivid, manifesting into tangible forms that seemed determined to fracture their closely knit bond. In this emotionally charged environment, Hercules encountered a terrifying image from the past, his own reckless actions that once brought pain to those he loved, including Iolaus. "You've hurt those closest to you," it roared, "your betrayals are unforgivable." But Hercules, drawing strength from his encounters in the previous trials, sobered in the face of his past. "Yes, I have faltered," he admitted with resolute clarity. "But from those mistakes, I've learned to grow. I now recognize the importance of trust and the bond we share, and I will not allow the past to dictate my future." In stark contrast, Diana confronted her own moments of fear. She envisioned her former insecurities. The trepidation born from Hera's manipulations and the belief that she could somehow bring about Hercules' ruin. "I will not allow fear to control me. My love is stronger than my past mistakes," she declared, pushing back against the shadows of betrayal. Iolaus stood unwaveringly, facing his doubts head-on. "Friendship is built on trust, and while we may stumble, loyalty remains the foundation of our bond. Together, we can rise above the fears that threaten to tear us apart." It was in that moment of solidarity, sharing their vulnerabilities, that the emotional upsurge built, drawing together their strengths and illuminating their path. The shadows of betrayal surged and then dissipated under the brilliance of their commitment to one another, finally rendering the harsh environment as serene as the dawn breaking over the horizon. As the trial concluded, and life resumed its natural flow around them, Hercules, Diana, and Iolaus emerged into the light, their bond cemented with an unwavering commitment to face any adversity together. They had faced illusions, temptations, and painful memories, yet emerged not just unscathed but further grounded in their love and loyalty. As they returned to Calydon, a sense of fulfillment enveloped them. They had faced the trials set forth by Hera and prevailed, not simply through strength but through the genuine connections they had built and nurtured. Hercules understood now that the essence of heroism could be found in the relationships that shaped one's journey. Their trials had reaffirmed that to be truly strong, one must embrace vulnerability and accountability. Yet, as celebrations erupted in Calydon, where music and laughter bubbled over, it became clear that this victory might not entirely appease the vengeful goddess. As dusk settled over the land and hope glimmered, stirring trepidation swirled among the clouds, signaling that Hera might yet conjure her last formidable challenge. Prepare for the next unfolding of Hercules' saga, a narrative steeped in the interplay between heroism and vulnerability, love and loyalty, a journey that resonates deeply within the human experiences of connection and the sacrifices made for those we hold dear.